Hey, it's Ryan Freeberg, and let's talk about self-healing and consciousness briefly here. So, how do you heal yourself? You can ask yourself big, important questions, and when they're connected to what I call, when they have spiritual logic, when they're connected to source, when you ask yourself big questions, it can really lead you to some powerful answers. So you can ask a question like, how do I heal myself? How do I heal emotional traumas? How do I release and let go of all these things? Even if I'm into some great releasing methodologies, how do I heal myself? How do I release things that are unreleasable? How do I have self-healing? How do I have impossible, what I feel is impossible things to release just out of me? How do I let go of my mind controlling me? So when you ask powerful questions with that spiritual logic, with that spiritual connection, you get some powerful answers. Okay, so how do you heal yourself? How do you resolve these inner issues? Well, first of all, inner is not just a mental thing. It's not really just about the conscious mind, because that is a generic valuative term that we can put on things, the conscious mind. Really, your subjective waking experience of life is really, it's holistic. So you actually have mental, emotional, sexual, spiritual, and physical consciousness. So we can talk about how do I heal myself as how do I heal the conscious energy that I am on the mental, physical, sexual, emotional, and spiritual levels. So each of these different areas, heart, mind, body, sexiness, and soul, each of those different areas of self, when you take on that spiritually connected understanding, gives you more of that foundation for healing. So how can I heal myself? Well, once you expand your definition of self to include all areas of consciousness, whether you prefer a soul valuation of self or a heart valuation of self or a mind valuation, for example, like educated professional Westerners and mathematicians, strong mind valuation. A body valuation would be like Olympic athletes, glamour, image, beauty, bodybuilders, MMA fighters. That's a body like valuation of self and connection, and a soul valuation of self. So if you're trying to, as more the Eastern kind of understanding, and there's like this separation between them. So how do you heal yourself? Well, on what level of self are we talking about? Ask yourself that. On what level of self-consciousness do I want healing? Is it just your generic personal self that comes from a Western understanding of disconnection on all levels of spiritual reality? How do you heal yourself is simple. I mean, it's simple, okay? Einstein said it, you know it. Personal improvement is about improving ourselves. The same struggle, issues, torments don't exist when we're at a higher level of consciousness. So how do you heal yourself is simply through higher consciousness. Now, I'm not talking necessarily about physical body healing here. We're talking about on the levels of experience. So how do you heal yourself emotionally, sexually, from things which are bothering and disturbing you? Well, it's the same thing. It's through higher consciousness. Albert Einstein said, and I paraphrase, you cannot resolve problems on the same level of consciousness that they were created. So if you have any problem, for example, any like past sexual trauma or emotional trauma that you can't let go of, well, that experience is coming from lower consciousness, which is further away from the power and divinity that you are. and you're holding it in those specific types of conscious energies. So if you have a mind, body, and soul valuation of self, how do I heal myself? I'm trying, I'm affirming, I'm doing meditation, and you're not getting the healing that you're looking for. Well, how do I heal myself is really, let's take a more qualitative look at it. How do I heal myself on what level of consciousness? What level of consciousness of self do I have to heal myself? If it's an emotional issue, that's emotional conscious energy. All healing is through higher consciousness. So all you have to do is have higher emotional consciousness. The secret to releasing and letting go is higher consciousness. So you can be working and working with some hot methodologies, but still not getting that, the release and living in the moment of truly being present and cleaning out your conscious energy and all the karmic negativity that's been accrued, that's in your past energy, and you're carrying it with you, and it's still stuck in your chakras and your conscious energy, and just it's assimilated into your body in the form of stress and breaking down systems, and it's just not good. How do you get rid of that? Well, if it's an emotional issue, you resolve that through higher emotional consciousness. So that would be higher heart consciousness. That means emotional energy specifically. That's how you would directly resolve it. So the more conscious you become emotionally, for example, what we're doing with self-awakening, there's so much to say here. If you didn't know, you can do not just Zen meditation or spiritual meditation, but you can do heart meditation, emotional meditation, and sexual meditation. You can do that. And because it's all spiritual energy. So it's just on what level of self do you want the healing, the transformation? Because the same issues that you have do not exist in a higher state of consciousness. So it's just on what level of consciousness do you have to have that healing? Do you want that healing? Because I see so many Westerners into some great, amazing methodologies like Sedona method, EFT tapping, that still can't get that deep purging, that cleansing. And what they're missing is, well, first of all, what is your definition of self? Because if it's mind, body, and soul, what you're talking about is emotional healing. It's in the heart. It's in emotional consciousness. So when you can add heart to your definition of self, instead of keeping it in the closet, you can respect it for what it is instead of trying to maybe heal it through affirmations or through Zen meditation. When you can respect heart consciousness, emotional energy, emotional conscious energy for what it is, then you become more conscious in that area, then you can heal yourself. Because if you have emotional energy of negativity or anger or revenge and so forth, and you're trying to heal it with mental energy or key spiritual energy, it's just a different type of energy. So it's most effective to deal directly with the conscious energy for what it is. So if you don't have heart and sexuality as part of your definition of self, because it is your experience of self as well, your self experience, your self-consciousness is emotional, sexual, physical, spiritual, and mental. It's on those 5 levels. So if you want self-healing, it's on, ask yourself, what level of self do I want that healing? Am I respecting that type of conscious energy for what it is? Am I trying to heal emotional wounds, trauma, depression, and all of this from a maybe spiritual perspective? So the more conscious you become in each area of self, the more you heal and release and evolve. Because it's very simple. A child who is very, most children just open, very heart conscious, very expressive. They're not storing things in. As adult Westerners, we value the mind. And then we repress heart. It's not even in our definition of self. We dilute it, kick it to the curb, and then wonder why we have difficulties healing on those levels. So the biggest thing you can do if you want emotional healing or sexual healing is to embrace those areas of consciousness for what they are, even if you value mind or soul more than them. Because once you respect emotional energy and sexual energy for what it actually is, then you can heal and transform. And how do you do that? Awakening. Our whole community is founded around connecting to higher levels of spiritual power and truth, divinity that you already are. And that becomes your experience. It's not just the mental thought of it, it becomes your experience. So in those awakened states of heart and sexual connection to the opposite sexual polarity in all of history, that timeless power, once you're connected and you feel that, well, that experience it resolves all of the levels below it. So with New Self Healing, newselfhealing.com, you can join me there. I'm going to be teaching more on how to heal yourself, how to transform yourself and your clients, if you're a coach, on the conscious energy levels. Because there's been a lot about other types of energy healing, and I'm very experienced and conscious in emotional and sexual energy. And the more conscious you become in all areas, the experience is the other stuff doesn't exist. And with New Self Healing, you can, and just mixing stuff on your own, experimenting with this as well, and you can put things to use where you can progressively release. You can take the best of Sedona, EFT tapping, Lefko method, and some other stuff out there, and you can empower the releasing. The main strategy should be higher consciousness, awakening. Awakening is experiencing higher consciousness. With self-awakening, at our website, self-awakening.com, and you can join our free community, what we're doing is awakening, subjectively experiencing higher levels of connection and power on all levels of self, which are spiritual, in mind, body, heart, sexiness, and soul. So that's how you heal yourself. So if you're still stuck, the answer is higher consciousness. So if you've been trying to do that through mind or soul and working, you're not there yet. Well, ask that question on what level of consciousness of self should I best heal myself directly? Because the answers are there. Your experience changes. When you're in a higher state of bliss, you don't have the other stuff. The more you awaken yourself, that becomes your reality. And so, yes, you can progressively release. Like with New Self Healing, I'll show you how to release past issues, how to combine the best of other methods and so forth with higher consciousness, working specifically with whatever type of conscious energy that you want to heal with. And there's a bunch of special techniques, and the higher consciousness itself is so important. And we just bring and represent that with the training. So I encourage you to get into self-awakening, because if you're dealing with those issues, they don't exist in a higher awakened state. It changes your experience. You can heal yourself. You can let go of those turmoils, all the things you're holding on to that are aging you faster and stressing you. You can let those go in your conscious energy, clear your chakras out as well, and we've got all kinds of amazing stuff we're doing. So just get involved with our community at self-awakening.com, and you can also join our list at newselfhealing.com, and I'll have some specifically direct self-healing training, very important stuff if you're an energy healer already, that you can mix the best of what you're already doing and have more emotional and sexual healing power for you and your clients to be free, awakened, vibrant, alive in your life. Talk to you later.